Hey, everybody. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Beth.
How are ya?
I'm great. How are you? It's good to see you.
Welcome. Well, next is two. Welcome to Market Update Monday, where we go live on LinkedIn. We're live, I think, on YouTube and possibly Instagram. I don't know, but we're live in a lot of places. And I thought it would be fun if, we at once a month invite my friends from around the country, like you in Texas, to talk about some things that are happening in your markets for the LinkedIn Live audience. So tell us about you, who you're with, what you do, and then we'll get into the market information. Where
Okay,
you
I'm
live.
I'm Susan Steele. I'm with Weitzman. Weitzman is a commercial real estate company, and we're Texas wide. We're headquartered in Dallas, heavy in DFW. We have offices in San Antonio, Houston, and Austin, and we lease about 44 million square feet. We're
Wow.
big. We're big in
That
Texas.
is, you're big in, everything's big in Texas, but wow, 44 million square feet. I don't
Yeah.
know that's just crazy.
Well, it's a some Houston's huge, Dallas is huge, San Antonio's huge, so it's a lot. It's combined. It's a lot. Um, we Texas has about 7.6 million people, and you know since the pandemic, retail has been the sector that has bounced back the fastest and the best. And I really think that people want to see something and touch it and pick it up and look at it before they buy it. And the grocery store sector, because of their curbside delivery option, has made people really take a strong look at grocery anchored centers. I have a nail tenant right now. He has a high end nail salons, and he only wants to be in a grocery anchored center. I think a lot of people are really paying attention to that. I'm sure everybody heard the big news about Tesla. We love Tesla in Texas. He's got
Absolutely. Where is he moving? Which city? Austin or
Austin. Austin.
of
He's
course.
got a an electric car plant in Austin, and he's got his SpaceX launching pad 20 miles from the border of Texas in Mexico, and you can see it. If you go to South Padre Island, you can see it. And I have some friends that have seen it and said it's just awesome. It's just magnificent to see that giant rocket.
Wow, that is amazing. So, yeah, I saw that news. My girlfriend, one of my dear friend's daughter, is currently interning at Tesla in Reno.
Mhm.
So she absolutely loves it. They have 30 or so students in the intern program. They've put them up in an apartment. She has three other roommates, like a two-bedroom. Every like 3 nights a week and on the weekends, they have functions for these interns to do, like group social activities, and they're getting paid to intern at Tesla.
I bet it's the coolest place to work ever. I'm sure it's just unbelievably cool.
So are you guys, so Florida, so did you say that Texas has 7.6 million people? Is
Mhm.
that the whole state of Texas?
No, that's just DFW.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
going to say because South Florida, Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade combined we were before COVID about 6.2 or 3 million
Mhm,
just in South Florida. But
mhm.
I'm anxious to see how those numbers have increased. We have gotten so much domestic migration from California and New York. You guys too, right?
Us and you. Mhm. Texas and Florida, a lot in DFW. CBRE moved their headquarters here over a year ago. Um, Tesla today, recently, and our rents around here are up a little.
Ours are up a lot. Are yours just up a little bit?
Well,
Ours are up like 20, 30%.
they're up a little some places, and they're up a lot others.
Yeah.
We're doing right now during the first 2 weeks of October, we do our survey drive, and that's where all the brokers get a list of properties to drive through, and we we see what's there, what's still there, what's left, how many medical users, how many fitness users, and I've seen a lot of big footprint retailers relocate. I'm seeing that in a lot of the centers that I'm assigned to go
So
drive, which is interesting.
this is a Weitzman thing?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I love that.
They have a big research and development department, and I think this really helps them have accurate information because, you know, I can contact the research department and say, I need a map of, I have this address and I want a map of all the chicken places within a 5-mile radius. And I can,
and bingo.
Yeah, I can get that. And a lot of it, you know, luckily is AI and stuff like that. But us driving these centers really helps, I think. And it's only big centers like 25,000 square feet and up.
Got it. What let me ask you a question and we'll start to wrap up since we've got three other amazing market update participants tonight in other parts of the country. What are you guys seeing in Texas? Are you seeing the craze of drive-through demand?
Yes.
I mean, the drive-through rents are literally up 30 to 40%, and forget about second-gen restaurant space. You cannot keep it. If you've got it, there's 3 or 4 people bidding on it and offering. I had someone offer me key money 2 weeks ago on a space.
That's crazy. Yeah, the drive-throughs are now people are saying that they'll even look at inline spaces because there's just not any drive-throughs anymore. There's just
So,
but we still have a ton of land here, so there's a lot of building going on.
Oh, well, that's awesome because in South Florida, no building.
Yeah, you guys don't have a lot of land left.
And it's very, very expensive to retrofit, right? So to redevelop. So you guys have a lot of land. So you're just building out.
Just spreading out. And you know,
our land prices up?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're always from year to year, they're always up. But because if you're inside the loop, so to speak, you know, it's going to be more expensive because it's more centric. But I recently saw, and I was kind of surprised it took so long, but in an area real close to a high school and a heavily right behind a central market, which is, I don't know if you know what that is. It's a high-end grocery store like a Whole Foods. They just put in a salad and go. And I thought, wow, that's such a great idea. I can't believe it took you guys till 2021 to do that. But there was that little pad, just that little piece of land. So there's a lot of that I'm seeing, you know, oh, they're filling in this little piece here and this little blank spot there, which is kind of.
We have a bunch of no seating. So takeout only coffee shops popping up, a bunch, like 3 or 4 right now.
You know, I hope all of these coffee shops make it. I don't know how much coffee people can actually drink.
The more they drink, the more they can drink.
That's true. We've got a lot of hot chicken going on right now here too.
We have the chicken wars going on too. Well, Susan from Weitzman, 44 million square feet. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us about Texas and what's big in Texas.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to see you.
And hang out in the green room and watch your fellow participants.
I will. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan, for being here. All right. Next up, we have my friend Tanya Hlinka from the DMV. Oh, hold on, Tanya. You're muted for some reason. Can you? There you go.
There we go. Hi, it's such a pleasure being on with you. My gosh, this is exciting. So yes, the DMV, a lot of people don't understand. It's called DMV. It's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So Woodmont Properties has 32 properties, and we only have 1 in Florida, and we're constantly looking to acquire more there because during COVID, our Florida tenants did great, and the tenants had a lot of issues with the restrictions that were placed upon them and also with the bad weather as well. So we have seen a huge uptick in leasing here within the last 60 days. So out of our 32 properties, we only have 10 that have vacancies.
Wow, that's awesome.
Massive growth in the last, I would say, the past 4 months. Now, some of these have been large tenants. They took a little bit of time to close out the leases, but we're seeing here in this area, particularly in Maryland, Virginia, that there are so many. There's just so much going on in different industrial and warehouse, growing massively. So Amazon has a distribution center here in the area, and they are also, I've just read 2 weeks ago, they're opening 2 new ones within Virginia. So that is huge. So what we've seen, we have what I wanted to bring to everyone's attention in our industrial space. We have a space, it's a small bay industrial. So there's 11, currently we have 11, but there's 12 spaces in it. What we have seen shift massively, we had a couple second-gen restaurant spaces that didn't make it as a result of COVID. They were filled months ago. A lot of businesses want to expand, they want to grow, and there's so many people that are actually starting new businesses. They're no longer working for their companies, and they're saying, I want to do this on my own. So our second-gen restaurant spaces, we're gone. We keep getting these calls. What has transpired is amazing. We've never, ever seen it before. And I spoke to other property owners. So what we've been creating now is more of a food warehouse. We're out of the 11 tenants that we have, 5 are food-based. We just signed a lease today. They completed the lease, and it's pretty interesting. It's a 4,000 square foot space. It's a Greek bakery. They signed a 10-year lease. They're doing an expansion of their current concept. So they're going to use this mostly for wholesale food. And they used to just be on a much smaller scale. They are putting an entirely full commercial kitchen. So
are they going to do some ghost kitchen stuff out of there?
Well, yes, they're using it for distribution, but just for themselves. They're not sharing it with anybody. But I'm glad you brought up ghost kitchen, because the next tenant is a pizza franchise. And 3 weeks ago, they signed their lease. They have multiple locations. And I have to put on my little reader to see what I wrote. But they are actually located in the Mid-Atlantic region. They're in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, and Delaware. So they have franchises. They took a 2,700 square foot space, which was they're going to use it as a ghost kitchen and an overflow. Because it was a second gen commercial kitchen space, we were able to actually lease that at 50% more, almost 50%. It's like maybe 47, 48%. Higher rental place. But that just shows that the same concept in business all the time: demand, supply, cost, right? So
wow,
amazing. And we're seeing it. There's barely any industrial space available now within the Maryland, Virginia area. DC doesn't have a lot of it, but it's incredible. So a huge shift in what's transpiring. And also,
so Tanya, what were your rents when you were just doing the small bay warehouses? What were your rents for that use versus now restaurant uses?
The small bays were
about single digit small bay rentals for the warehouses?
No, they were like 13, and now we're getting like 18, 19. So that's huge. And especially with the 10-year lease, we have this one, the pizza place, they did a 3-year lease with a 5-year renewal option. So we're getting a lot of really serious restaurant tenants in. It makes sense for them because they're paying a lot less than they would pay in a typical retail space. Right. So it's a win-win for everybody, right? So the property owner and the tenants are benefiting, and we're going to see an extreme growth in successful businesses as a result of this. It's amazing.
So I think when you're looking in South Florida, you should be looking for some small bay warehouse space. Bring that idea down to South Florida.
I love it. Thank you. And then the other, if you don't mind, I just want to state that the other, as far as a food warehouse, what we have, Interestingly enough, we have something called Sunflower Bakery. They have a 5,800 square foot space. They are a nonprofit organization and they employ the disabled. And the county actually funded them. And they did the kitchen build out and they are doing amazing work. So I don't know if anybody else out there has the ability to work with their counties or within the communities. There are a lot of great support for kitchens where people can work from. And they've been there, I think they moved in 2 years prior to COVID. They made it through and they're very, very successful. So they did a whole full kitchen build out. And then we have an 8,000 square foot of a company that makes bagged snacks for schools. And then we have something else called Mom's Organic. They're a distribution center, similar to like a Whole Foods, but they only use that space for distribution. So a whole shift, a paradigm shift in industrial. Have you seen
That's
that?
amazing.
Have you seen it going on in the country anywhere else?
I have not seen it anywhere. In fact, everyone's, running out of warehouse space because of the whole supply chain. I just heard this morning on CNBC that Walmart and Target are now going to be using their own shipping containers in cargo because they cannot wait for these containers, and that everyone's worried about their goods getting to them by Christmas.
Mhm.
They're taking matters into their own hands and saying, we need to get our own cargo ships. That's going to cause them to need more warehouse space, right? To put their goods into warehouse space as they're distributing them to the stores. It's going to be a whole thing coming down the pike for commercial real estate.
Right. So I'm glad you touched on supply chain because we have the issues here as well. Obviously, it's nationwide and worldwide, but we do have delays and we're finding a lot of problems. Yes, why are these? Everything is available, but they're not being unpacked. They're unpacked, but they're not distributed. So now we have problems getting new HVAC units, and we could have to wait 2 months to get one. Also, costs have escalated, not only with what we need as far as supplies, but also with repairs. So we're seeing repairs on roofs, on even HVAC installations increase 20 to 25%. Now that becomes quite a challenge. Also, the other delays that we're seeing have to do with tenants being able to actually take their space. They have to first apply for their occupants, their permits, their build out permits. Those are delayed. What used to be 6 to 7 months is now 12 to 14 months. That costs a lot of money for the tenants, and they're just stuck. And then if they have to get their permits, they have to get everything done, and then they have to wait for their occupancy permit. So crazy. That's a huge problem. That's a big problem. Have you seen that?
Yes, our permitting used to be 6 months and now it's 9 months.
Okay.
So we have a tenant that I gave the earlier of opening or 300 days.
Mm-hmm.
His rent starts next week, and he said it's going to be 2 or 3 more months before he can get open because of the permitting delays.
Mm-hmm.
So he was asking for a break, and I'm not going to give him a break. I told him to get open, and then we'll talk once he's open, because what I find as a landlord is when you give them a break during the permitting process, they kind of take their foot off the gas a little bit. And while they're paying rent, they're pedal to the metal, and then they'll come back and I'll maybe do something for them in the first 3 months after they open. I did have an ice cream store that just opened last weekend. And about a month ago, she called and said her ovens were delayed by 2 months, but miraculously they came in on time. So she was able to start paying rent on time, and she got those ovens. But she sent me an email saying, I can't open on October 6th because my ovens are 2 months backlogged. And I believed her. But then I walked in one day, she was in there, and I went, how's it going with the oven? She goes, look, they came in. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great.
Right.
Well, Tanya, so I hope everyone in the audience heard that you are buying. Are you only buying in Florida, or should people send you stuff that they have in other parts of the country?
Anywhere in Maryland, Virginia, DC, and Florida. Those are the markets we know the best. So we are looking into other markets, but right now we're most comfortable working where we have our teams. We do all the property management, we do all the leasing, and we own. So we like to stay with what we know before we expand. But yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking that.
All right. Well, Tanya, thanks for being here. Thanks for the information on the DMV. Tanya taught me what I said, the DMV, you want to go get a driver's license? She goes, no, it's where I'm from, where my properties are, the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I learned something new. So now I use it all of the time. I want you to know.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for teaching us so much.
Well, thanks for being here, and I hope you hang out in the green room and watch your friends. We've got Vandan, the commercial man, coming up next. You don't want to miss him. You know, he's always a card.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Beth.
Bye, Tanya. All right, my friend. If you don't know this guy, you need to know him. Van, the commercial man. How are you, my son, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How are you, Miss Beth?
Oh my gosh. So when did you start doing? I'm telling you, everyone that is on the feed or watches the replay, when you're done watching this, if you do not recognize this guy's face, I want you to hang up. Is it YouTube that they can get most of your videos? Yeah. Where can YouTube?
Yeah, most of it's
is it under Van the commercial man?
It is. It's under Van the commercial man. So just look it up and I'll pop up.
When was the first time you did a video?
I think it was after your canvassing contest. I was getting my butt kicked and was like, what do I do? And then September, I finally found these guys. I'm like, let's go. And they're like, man, we got you. And after that, it's just taken off.
How many videos have you done?
Oh my gosh. Probably, I don't know, almost, it feels like 30. That's a lot, but we're doing almost 2 to 4 a month. So.
And how much has your business improved since you started doing the videos?
At least 35%. At least 35%. And what's awesome is I'm not interviewing or going for the listing appointment. It's more of it's coming. It's being attracted. So it's really exciting. Yeah.
It's a calling card, right? You can, if let's say you were being interviewed and you walked into the room, they're like, oh, we know you. You got this, right? So tell us about Raleigh, Durham, or if that's the market you're going to focus on, or North Carolina. Tell the audience about stats or information, or I know you, and tell them about what you do. You do sales, you do leasing, and development, right?
Yep, I do a ton of investment sales, which is very hard to find with compressed cap rates, but we're finding opportunities. It's a lot of back-end deals I'm working out. So those relationships through all my networking is paying off big time, because it's not so much knowing the commercial broker. It's more of knowing the individual business owners or property owners. And they're showing up and finding me, whether it's social media or attending the same networking events. And they're the ones coming up to me. So this is like, it's, that's the treasure. It's showing up. I mean, half the battle is showing up. The other half is you better know what you're talking about. And so it's investment sales. I do a lot of land development, obviously, for our family and others now. So it's getting really busy. And then the leasing, the landlord tenant rep is really, I call it the everyday business. You gotta pound those streets, because that's where a lot of my relationships have occurred. That's where I end up. You lease out 8,000 square feet. Next thing you know, someone else wants to take you to lunch and they want you to list their building for sale. And I was like, well, that's karma. So I'm all over the place, but this is the place I want to be. It's really honed in on my marketplace. I've carried most of North Carolina. As long as I'm not driving up to the mountains, it's about 2.5 hours is my radius at most. So,
so tell me, have you guys seen? I know at least 4 people that have purchased second homes in North Carolina. So, and I know that's in the mountains, but has your market seen an influx of people like Florida, South Florida has?
Big time. They were coming from Pennsylvania, Ohio, California, Texas, Boston, New York. I mean, I'm hearing due diligence of $100,000 or $150,000. So the sellers are pretty much. just they got their way. They got their way, and that's great because now we're bringing all. I mean, it's too bad because home prices keep escalating, but it's bringing in all these business owners. It's bringing all of this commerce. It's taking up all our industrial spaces. On top of having Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google taking up our space, office and industrial spaces. Now you got the small business owners coming into town and asking what's available. What can we do? I'm sure the prices aren't so expensive, and we have a very low vacancy in the industrial space. I think it's like 98% leased out. My secret sauce is I'm working with some landowners that already have properties zoned for industrial. So I'm going to have a few more listings for ground lease opportunities for the industrial, kind of like what the QSRs do with the ground leases. So we're going to flip the script and do it with industrial spaces.
Oh, that's cool.
And we're having the same thing with fast foods, coffee shops. It's everybody wants one. There's a niche market, especially in the Asian demographic. They have their brands and groups, and there's a huge following. So you have that demographic competing with your Starbucks and other mom and pops. So,
wow. And how are the cap rates in your investment sales? Are they going down? Are they staying flat? Are you worried about inflation and how that's going to work on our markets?
Yeah, that's a loaded question because everyone's asking what does it look like, and I'm like, well, we're in the 5% range. You're 6% if we're lucky, and then we're wondering where the expense is coming from because there's always something. There's always a hidden agenda, so I'm trying to uncover what it might be. What I am finding success is I am getting the 7-8% cap rates, and I mean industrial. This gentleman, we have a 10% cap rate, and he's like, "I'm so glad I listened to you, Van." It was just one of those things where I had set it up, leased it out. He listened to me. He bought it when I told him to. We got it at the price, and then I leased them all out, and now we're gonna probably go. He's at a 10 cap. We'll probably turn around and sell it at a 6.5, 6 cap, and we're gonna see. So we're gonna go with that. But to answer your question, we're finding where you see 7 and 8% caps. You'll see the national tenant or mom and pop will have only 2 or 3 years left on the lease. So that's where the opportunities are. If they only got 2 or 3 years left on the lease, what's the probability of getting them to re-sign early or take the gamble that they will re-sign, or how easy will it be to lease the space if they vacate? And so,
who loves to buy those 2 and 3 years left on lease term deals?
Beth Azar?
No, my friend Aaron Zucker.
Oh, he likes those.
He loves them. So if you have any of those, or if anyone listening has any of those, call Aaron Zucker from ZIG, Zucker Investment Group.
Got it.
Have you met him?
No, I was in Charlotte that day, but I did not get to connect.
You guys need to meet. You need to meet him, and you also need to meet Lash Harston.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Yes.
Maybe the 3 of you should just meet together. There's going to be business exchanged in that meeting. I promise you.
Got it. I'll coordinate it. We'll make it happen.
So warehouse is hot. Retail drive-through is hot. Are there any malls available that are not doing well in your area?
The one that's not doing well, it's been in bankruptcy and back and forth, and it's been bought and sold a few times in the last 3, 4, 5 years. Yeah.
The one you're not talking about, the one that Fortnite bought, are you?
No, that's different. Not Fortnite, but Fortnite. the games. No, that one they bought. That was done like almost last year, but that mall was deteriorating, and IKEA was supposed to come, and when IKEA pulled out, it was almost like a few months later Fortnite came in.
Yeah, for those of you that don't have young male children, Fortnite is this video game that went viral 2 years ago, or I guess, and they bought a mall I think in Winston-Salem, right? Or Wilmington?
Well, this is right here in our backyard in Cary, North Carolina. So they bought Carytown Mall, and then the whole area is being redeveloped into hotels and office mixed use.
Yeah, they bought the whole mall
Epic Games for their corporate headquarters.
Amazing.
Yeah, and now everybody's going there. And I had a local boutique shop wanting to lease there. This isn't going to be ready for another year or two, and he's saying that it's $60 a square foot for our area. That's pretty high, $60 a square foot, and as is, and they have a.
So this
high,
is what happens. That's what I'm predicting is going to happen in the mall business with some of the malls, right? I mean, we have 1,000 malls. They say 300 are going to close.
Mhm.
That's the conservative estimate. So they are going to become corporate headquarters, fulfillment centers for groups like Amazon, or now what we're hearing this morning on CNBC, Target, Walmart, the bigger chain. They're just not going to be subject to what's going on with these ports anymore. This is gonna help our industrial market for sure. All those guys that have that land zone for industrial, great. And medical
is huge. Personal services.
Medical hospitals are going to buy up some of these mall campuses, these malls, and use them as campuses.
And that's what happened in Durham, Northgate Mall. Duke Hospital bought it out. It's cheaper to buy that out and cheaper to buy everything around it than to build a brand new facility.
Can't you see? I can absolutely visualize a mall becoming a hospital.
Yep.
Down here, your X-ray radiology labs. This is pediatrics. This is ICU. I can see it.
Yep. All is one stop.
Yeah. All that parking. The food court can be the little food court, right? The cafeteria. I can see it.
Hotel.
All right.
To stay. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So before we go to hear about the LA market, anything final words on Raleigh, Durham, and the surrounding 2.5-hour geographic radius that Van the commercial man covers?
Just call Van the commercial man. We'll find the opportunity for you. So.
Yeah, you're a wheeler dealer. It doesn't matter. You just call Van and he's got you.
That's right. Unless it's a church use, I may not have so much luck, but everything else we can get it done. So.
Well, thank you for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. Hang out. And what are you going to do? You're going to call Aaron and Lash.
That's correct. I will. And I appreciate the opportunity. It was great to be on here. Thank you.
My love. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. All righty. The LA girls in town. How are you doing, Veronique?
Thank you for having me. It's always great to be live with you and be part of your groups.
Well, we are all very anxious and excited to hear about California.
Yeah, so I can, echo on a lot of what Tanya said, some of the struggles, I think, nationwide on the supply chain, labor, and whatnot. So I think, we're seeing a lot of the same things here in LA. And to just talk about what you were saying with Van earlier about, some of the malls that are being repositioned. And so we have a mall here in West Side Pavilion, and Google up taking over one of the wings and converted it into their headquarters. So I'm sure we'll see a lot more of that, some creative repositioning for some of these large malls that need some revamping. So
tell the audience what you do.
So I work with Realty, and we do tenant rep and landlord rep here in the Los Angeles area. Our geography is, takes us from the beach all the way to the inland. So, and work with a variety of different tenants. Always, got med spas, and I've got art galleries and restaurants and gyms. It's nice to have a variety.
So Susan and I said we've got a lot of people coming in from California. I did a gym deal. I think I shared with you, I had an empty Michael's for 3 years, and a gym walks in one day with a residential broker and says, we're moving from California and we're opening. And I told them $1,586 a square foot, and they said done. And they signed the lease in 4 days. And I realized, they thought that was a very low rent coming from California. So my question to you is, are you guys seeing, is it visible, the people that are leaving, or are you guys as busy as well? Because I have heard also there are people moving into California. So what are you seeing since COVID with what's going on? Because we're certainly seeing California coming to Florida.
Yeah, and I don't really think that's affected the landscape here. I think a lot of, at least the client that I'm working with, and a lot of the deals that are, being driven or, are opportunistic. They were tenants that were looking for space prior to COVID that could not find space, ideal space, restaurants or gyms or so they took this opportunity, especially if you during COVID got out there and signed a deal, you got lucky. It's super tight again now. It's really hard to find space. I would say about 50% of the spaces that I call on already are in leases. So, I think some people already missed the boat. But, as you mentioned, for example, you had a gym client move from California to LA to Florida. There's basically three drivers, the highest leasing activity here in LA are grocers, fitness, and restaurants. One of the largest deals that was done was about 45,000 square foot for Gold Gym on the 3rd Street Promenade, which is Santa Monica, and we took her where Banana Republic. So yeah, that was deals that
Wow. 45,000 square feet.
yeah
Gold
on
Gym.
couple levels. Yeah, I think there was a basement and first floor. Yeah. So
Amazing.
because our gyms were closed for the longest time and we just started reopening. So, but yeah, lots of demand for fitness. The grocer war are incredible. We have a property that we lease, and within a 2-mile radius, there's 3 great, fairly new, remodeled grocers. And this property that we have that's being redeveloped, we have we have an interest for about another 6 different grocers. And it's unbelievable how many grocers want to be like, or can be in like such a small radius. So yeah, it's definitely
What's driving that?
great market, centrally located, high density, high demographics.
Wow.
It's
That's
a lot more,
great.
and there's a lot more outside of that 2-mile radius too, Um, so it's hard to the
That's
driver, but
amazing.
it's pretty
That's
incredible.
amazing.
And then the rest are restaurants. Everybody wants to open a restaurant, and we're back to now people are asking for key money and no TIs and very little free rent. And yeah, so one of the largest lease that was done was a 2-star Michelin chef from Chicago that's opening Maple and it's Danny Grant, and they did that in Beverly Hills. So we're seeing a lot of chef driven out here.
Is California open now fully?
Yes. The one thing that's changing, we're now starting to, I believe, to ask for vaccine cards.
Right.
So we'll see. That's I think that's in the next couple weeks that's going to be implemented. So a lot of
Is that for all, like, inside, all restaurants, gyms, everything?
yeah, a lot of the inside. I haven't read the whole write up on it, but yes, and a lot of unhappy people. I mean, it's a big toll on restaurant operators. They don't have enough employees to service their clients, and now to have to ask for to sort of be police patrol. I think that's challenging, but it's funny because I was down in Orange County today for a lunch, and it's a whole different world down there. Nobody's wearing masks, and and here up in LA, it's the Iron Curtain. So
Do you remember? I don't know if you remember. I was in. My son played in a golf college showcase in San Diego back in. I don't remember when that was. August, I think. And I couldn't believe. We'd been hearing about California and how it was closed down and all this. I went to San Diego. There was no parking for any restaurant. The restaurants were hours wait, no masks. It was nothing you can't just, it's all fake media. It's all fake news. Because what I was hearing was not anything like what I saw and experienced.
Yeah, I mean, restaurants are so busy. It's people want to get out. They've been locked up for, months, and people want to enjoy not having to cook, meals after, having to cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner for your family.
Absolutely. All right. So any last words of market information regarding the LA surrounding market that you work?
Yeah, I mean, rents are, in the markets that I'm in, I think it's, very different, outside of where I focus in, but, rents are steady. Landlords are, like I said, pretty concerned. I mean, they aren't giving anything away anymore. There's no more COVID language. That's a thing of the past. That word's been forgotten, So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the market's on fire, I would say. It's definitely hard to, even looking for the size range, my size range, I'm searching for space between 1,000 to 10,000 square feet. And even the 10,000 square feet is not that easy to find.
Yeah, we some of our tourist markets, like in South Florida, we've got Lincoln Road, which at one point at the height, Lincoln Road in South Beach, the rents were in the 300 range. And it's right now about 150. So it's about half, and there's still vacancy. The tourists, European tourists, South American tourists aren't all the way back. My son works at the Lego store at the Sawgrass Mills Mall, which is like a huge 2 million square foot outlet mall. And usually pre-COVID, there were many, many, many tourists walking around the mall with suitcases, right, on rollers, because they would buy in bulk and then ship it home. And he said that the suitcases aren't back yet. So tourism for us is still behind, but domestic migration is up. So I can't even imagine, I don't know about LA, but I can't imagine how we just heard from Texas and Raleigh and the DMV and LA and South Florida, how happening everything is. I need to get some people on the show that, are in markets that are, I mean, even Boise, Idaho, for God's sakes, is hot, right? So I can't imagine when the borders open up, right? And we start traveling, and tourist travel is up like it was pre-COVID. Everyone needs to be raising their rents is my thought on this, right? Supply and demand. We got to raise our rents and raise our annual increases, because for years and years and years, everyone's been on this 3% annual fixed increase kick. I've been doing 4 and 5% for the last 2 years, and now CPI, I think, is at 4.9. So everyone for sure should be getting rid of those 3% annual increases.
They're pretty much at 3%. I haven't seen anything higher than that yet.
Well, from a tenant rep perspective, I'm sure you don't want this, but from the landlord rep perspective, we need to raise those fixed annual increases.
Right. The rents are already so high, and for some of these tenants, who are not national brands, it's you need to. They want to make a profit, so it's some of these rents. I look at some of the tenants I work with, and I'm like, how are you going to be able to afford this rent? Just selling, frozen yogurt. It's
Yeah.
You got to sell frozen yogurt to make the rent. It's nice.
Yeah, you definitely. Right. Obviously, we all need to we all need to look at sales projections, right? And occupancy costs, because I'm not interested in putting a tenant in that can't pay the rent for sure. So what are your projections? What did you do in another store? You know, what are you going to do to keep these sales? Because rent is a function of sales. And if they can keep their occupancy costs at a reasonable level and we can still get the high rent, I'm all about that.
Right. And some landlords, you know, no, most of the landlords that I've come across aren't in a rush to rent their properties. You know, they're taking precautions. A lot of them got burned during COVID. I was trying to do a deal for a Pilates studio here in a former Pilates studio. So there would have been no TI cost, you know, pretty much need to just order your machines and then you're ready to go. And, you know, this tenant had a lot of money in the bank, but yet the landlord just didn't believe in that concept anymore and just said, I'm not interested. So
well, that's a shame, right? So, all right. So let me, Veronique, thank you so much for all the information on California. I'm going to bring everyone back. All right, everyone, don't have anything in your teeth. There's Van, there's Susan, and there's Tanya. Let's get Tanya. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being on the Market Update Monday show. We heard from Texas. We heard from the DMV. We heard from LA and Raleigh, Durham with Van the Commercial Man. So ladies, when are you going to start doing videos like Van the Commercial Man's doing?
I'm feeling the pressure.
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm starting tomorrow. This was so much fun. I don't know why I've been waiting. And now I'm in the kitchen cooking dinner. And I can still be engaged. It's fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. And Van, you're an inspiration to me. Thank you so much.
It's an inspiration to all of us. So everyone hang up and go watch his videos if you don't know him yet. So thank you to the audience. Thanks for some of the comments. We appreciate it. And see you next month for Market Update Monday with a whole new cast of characters. Bye, ladies. Van, thanks so much.
Thank you.
have a great
Bye. Thank you. Good night.
Sign out.